Hello and welcome again to another day of classes. Today we're going to be continuing with the Interchange 5th edition level 3, the Green Book, and today we're going to be starting with the unit 15. As always, we start with the vocabulary for this lesson, or also known as the language summary. So let's jump right into it with some nouns. Social issues. This is related to the things that we're going to be talking about today. Social issues. Some types of social issues are bullying, the use of force, coercion, or threat to abuse, aggressively dominate, or intimidate. That's basically when people do bad things to other people just for the sake of it because they think it's funny. Like maybe this kid right here is laughing about it. I think we all know bullying. Child care. Care for children provided by either the government, an organization, or a person, while parents are at work or are absent for another reason. Health care. If you notice, care and care. It's basically when you care, it's when you are taking time to help something, basically. I care about you. It means that I'm thinking about you. I want you to be good. I want you to be in a good state. And if we use this word, make it a compound noun with other words, it changes the meaning. For example, child care, it's the care of children. Health care is the care of health. The maintenance or improvement of health via the prevention, diagnosis, treatment, recovery, or cure of disease, illness, injury, and other physical and mental impairments in people. The care of health, making sure that everyone and everything is healthy. Homelessness, the state of having no home. If you don't have a home, you're homeless. And the noun of this is homelessness. Noise pollution, harmful or annoying levels of noise. Parental leave, time that a parent is allowed to spend away from work to take care of his or her baby. Basically, this parental leave is when you have a newborn, you have your new baby that it's your son or daughter, and then you have the parental leave that it's usually like 3 months for the mother to be with its child, and I think it's like a week for the man. I think this is not so good because the man also needs to be with its child, but this is part of the social issues that we're going to be discussing today. So let's continue. Stray animal, a domestic animal that is wandering at large or is lost. The stray animals or stray in all types of animals are the animals with no home, that nobody is its owner and they live on the streets. Street crime, any criminal offense in a public place. Other street crime include pickpocketing, the open illegal drugs trade, prostitution in the form of soliciting outside the law, the creation of graffiti and vandalism of public property, and assaults. These are all types of street crime. Trash collection, the act or process of picking up or collecting from various places. Trash. And this is the trash truck. Vandalism, action involving deliberate destruction or of damaged public or private property. That is vandalism. Other nouns. Big deal, a thing considered important. It is a big deal to think about the coronavirus right now and the cure for it. That is a big deal. It means that it's important. A big deal is something important. Meeting his family for the first time is a big deal to her. Citizen, a legally recognized subject or national of a state or commonwealth, either native or naturalized. Basically, a citizen, it's a person that lives in a country. If you live in the United States and you are American, so to say, we all are Americans, but okay, that's for another day. And you're a citizen of the United States. If you live in Mexico, you're a citizen of Mexico, of that city, or I mean, of that country. Fare, the money paid for a journey on public transport. This is the money that you pay on the public transport, the fare. The taxi fare is $2.50 for the initial charge and 40 cents per uh a fifth of a mile or per 2 minute stops. Oh wow. 4. The short, fine sort of soft hair of certain animals. This is the 4. It's like the hair of the animals. Helmet. A hard or padded protective head, various types of which are worn by soldiers, police officers, motorcyclists, sports players, and others. These are helmets. They are there to protect your head. Health insurance. Insurance taken out to cover the cost of medical care. So this is basically a specific type of service that you pay every month in order that when you really need to pay for something related to medicine or things related to a hospital, then you don't have to pay as much. A leash. It's a dog's lead. This is the leash. This type of, afford. Mayor. In the US, Canada, and certain other countries, the head of a municipal corporation elected by the public, that is the mayor of a town. Ownership. The act, state, or right of possessing something. When you have the ownership of something, it means that it's yours. You bought it. When I buy a car, I take ownership of it. It becomes mine. Permit. Officially allows someone to do something, or the proof that you are allowed to do things, if it's a thing, a permit. What are other words for permit? Allow, license, tolerate, let, permission, enable, sanction, grant, authorize, empower. Plagiarism. The practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as one's own. Basically, copy something and say it's yours. What do you mean all my facts are wrong? I copied everything straight off the internet. Oh well. Rail. A bar or a series of bars fixed on upright supports or attached to a wall or ceilings, serving as a part of a barrier or used to hang things on. Basically, a rail is where the trains go. Like, these are rails. Research. The systematic investigation into a study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. To research is like to investigate in a methodical way. Royalties. A sum paid to a patentee for the use of a patent or to an author or composer for each copy of a book sold or for each public performance of a work. Basically, the royalties are the way that artists and writers get paid. Seat belt. These are seat belts. Shelter. A place giving temporary protection from bad weather or danger. You can have an animal shelter, any type of place that give you temporary protection. It's usually not to be like for the rest of your life. Sidewalk. A paved path for pedestrians at the side of a road. A pavement. Basically, the sidewalk is where you walk on the side of a road. That's why it's called sidewalk. A source. A place, person, or thing from which something originates or can be obtained. Basically, the source is where it comes from. For example, let's say that the source of the water, it's the sea. The source of the light, it's the sun. The source of an investigation, the source of a fact is maybe an encyclopedia or a book about something like that. Adjectives. Affordable, inexpensive, reasonably priced. Something affordable is something that you can afford and buy it. Affordable housing often means housing for low-income families. Affordable mobiles are common in low-income countries. Attendant and unattended. Be present at an event, meeting, or function. Basically, it's to be present, to be there. What are other words for attended? Accompanied, serve, visit, accompany, go to, look, wait on, assist, pay heed, tended to. Disabled, not having one or more of the physical abilities or mental abilities that most people have. If you, for example, are blind, you cannot see, you're disabled. If you cannot walk, you are disabled. If you have an arm, you are disabled. Inadequate. What are other words for inadequate? Deficient, insufficient, poor, short, scarce, lacking, incompetent, unequal, incapable, unsatisfactory. Basic, basically, something that is inadequate is something that is not adequate. This is negative of the opposite of adequate. That means that you are okay in that position or thing that you're doing. The adequate thing to do after a family friend is dead, for example, or like a family member of yours is dead, is to go to the funeral. That is adequate. Something inadequate is to laugh at the funeral. That is something that is also rude. Overcrowded, containing too many people or things. You will have crowded, that it's a lot of people in one place, but overcrowded, it's even more people. Like this. This is overcrowded. Soundproof, of a building or part of a building, not allowing sound to go through. If it's soundproof, it means that no sound outside or inside can go to either place, to out or in. Unmarried. Unmarried refers to the marital status of a person. It refers that either he or she has never been married, nor has been remarried after divorce, whereas single means that a person is legally separated or the person has never been married. Both unmarried and single are terms that are occupied in the gender neutral. Okay, so basically unmarried is the same as single. Offensive, causing someone to feel upset or angry, often because of being rude. Something offensive is something that, disrespects you, makes you feel bad and upset and angry. For example, if a man raises the skirt of a woman, that's offensive. She's gonna slap him, I hope. Let's see some verbs. Assume, to accept something to be true without question or proof. If you're assuming, you're like, I think you did not do the homework because I don't see that you know about the topic. I don't know. I haven't checked, but I am assuming that that is true. Okay. What is the opposite of assume? Disbelieve, prove, doubt, reject, leave, abstain, not believe, give up, relinquish, and disclaim. Ban, to forbid, refuse to allow something, especially officially. When something is banned, it's mean that you cannot do or have that thing. For example, on this image right here, we can see that smoking is banned in that place that he is, so he cannot be smoking, and that's why she's telling him. Belong, be the property of, be a member of a particular group or organization. If you belong, it means that you're part of them. And when you say that something is yours, or I say something it's mine, mine, it means that that it's of my belonging. Critique, evaluate a theory or practice in a detailed and analytical way. To critique, some other similar words are review, criticism, commentary, notice, analysis, comment, study, report, article, essay. Deserve, do something or have or shown a qualities worthy of a reaction which rewards or punishes as appropriate. When you deserve something, it means that what is happening or what you're getting, it's good that you have it because you did the things to deserve it, basically. To deserve, like, for example, if you work a lot, you deserve a reward, like it's usually money if you're in a job. What is the opposite of deserve? Deserve. Forfeit, lose, spend, fail, miss, pass, be unworthy of. Face. To confront and deal with or accept. If you face something, it means that you're dealing with it. Fail. Not to be confused with face. Fail. being successful in achieving one's goal. It's the opposite of pass. If you fail, it means that you didn't do it. You couldn't do it, basically. Feed. To feed, it's to give food to someone. You can feed the dog, feed your son, or feed your baby, basically, or feed the dogs. Litter. Rubbish such as paper, cans, and bottles left lying in an open or public space. This is litter. And to litter is to basically to throw trash on the ground. Make ends meet. To have just enough money to pay for the things that you need. That is to make ends meet. Pass. Go past or across. Leave behind or on one side in proceeding. A success in an examination test or course. Pass have multiple meanings, as we said here. To pass something, it may be to have when you have something and you give it to another person for a moment. You're passing it. The opposite of fail is also a pass. A pass is also these types of tickets that let you go into places. Whatever happens, it passes the time. Okay, it's like to change from position. Pickpocket involves the stealing of money or other valuables from the person or a victim's pocket without them noticing the theft at the time. Basically, to take things from your pocket, to pick from the pocket, and without the other person noticing. That it's pickpocketing. Pretend. Behave so as to make it appear that something is the case when in fact it is not. When you pretend, it's when you're doing like in an imaginary way. For example, she's pretending to be a doctor, and the teddy bear it's her patient. Require. Need for a particular purpose. Make necessary. When you require something, it means that you need it yes or yes. What are other words for require? Demand, need, want, call for, take, necessitate, ask, involve, command, and expect. Ride a bike. This is to ride a bike. Spot. To see, notice, or recognize someone or something that is difficult to detect or that one is searching for. Basically, to spot something is to, oh, look at, it's right there. You're spotting it. For example, he spot this crack on the wall. Okay, that was all of the vocabulary for today. We're going to come back here when we get to the grammar. But for now, let's go to the book. So we have the unit 15. A law must be passed. And in this unit, we're going to be making recommendations about social issues. That's for today. And giving opinions about laws and social issues. So that's for the next video. Okay. We're going to be starting with this snapshot. 8 unusual laws from around the world. This promises to be interesting. Let's read them. A law prohibits unmarried women from parachuting on Sunday in Florida. Okay, there must be a reason for that. In Switzerland, it's illegal to keep only one pet if it's a social animal. You need to get 2 obligatorily. It's against the law to feed the pigeons in Venice. Oh wow. In some states in Australia, you may not leave the car keys inside an unattended vehicle. I mean, I think you cannot do that in any place. That's dangerous. In the UK, women aren't allowed to eat chocolate on public transportation. Only women, and only chocolate. Why? Businesses must provide sprays for tying up horses in Canada. Okay, so they still need to use horses. Oh, wow. I mean, I think this is because of the policemen that are going on horses there. In the state of Washington, it's illegal to pretend your parents are rich. Oh, wow. In Finland, taxi drivers must pay royalties if they play music for customers. Okay, I imagine that in Finland and nobody plays and no taxi plays music because oh, wow. Okay, those were really interesting. Who would have thought? Okay, let's continue. Now we have the perspectives, rules and regulations. You're gonna listen to people make recommendations at a city council meeting. Would you agree with this proposal if they were made in your community? and you're gonna check your opinions, okay? So we're gonna listen and read and then give our opinions about this, okay? Okay, so let's listen.
Unit 15. A law must be passed. Page 100. Exercise 2. Perspectives. Rules and regulations. Part A. Listen to people make recommendations at a city council meeting. Would you agree with these proposals if they were made in your community? Check your opinion. Meeting notes. 1.
Clubs should be required to install soundproof walls.
2.
Riding a bike on the sidewalk mustn't be permitted.
3.
Pet owners shouldn't be allowed to walk dogs without a leash.
4.
Something has got to be done about littering.
5.
A law must be passed to control the pollution from vehicles.
6.
Children ought to be required to wear a helmet when riding a bike.
7.
Schools should only be permitted to serve organic food.
Okay, very good. Which one of these would you say that it's necessary on your community as well? Okay, I think in my case, it will be this one. Clubs should be required to install soundproof walls. It is really bad to have loud music at 3 a.m. in the morning for the neighbors that live near to discos, it's not a good thing. They for sure they should be doing that. And also this other one, children ought to be required to wear a helmet when riding a bike. I mean, all the kids can have a really bad situation if they are riding bikes and they don't have the proper protection for that. So I really like to see that also in my community. But what about yours? Please tell them down in the comments below. Okay, now let's continue. Now we're gonna be having the grammar for today, giving recommendations and opinions. Interesting. Let's see. As always, I have material for this. Okay, giving recommendations and opinions. We're gonna be studying with this. When you think something is a good idea, you say should be required, shouldn't be allowed, ought not to be required, or ought to be required. Basically, these are ways to say that this should happen basically all of the times. I mean, and if you say something like this, it is because it's a good idea. It's not obligatory, but it's a good idea. Clubs should be required to install soundproof walls. I mean, it's a good idea. It's not that it's obligatory, but it's a really good idea. Pet owners shouldn't be allowed to walk dogs without a leash. That is also a good idea. People ought to be required to wear a helmet when riding a bike. Okay? But then when you think that something is absolutely necessary, it should be obligatory, must be, mustn't be, has to be, has got to be, those are the models that you use. A law must be passed to control the pollution from vehicles. That it's something that should be obligatory. Riding a bike on the sidewalk mustn't be permitted. A rule has to be made to require bike lanes on city streets. Something has got to be done to stop littering. Ought to has the same meaning as should, but it's more formal. Okay, so remember that. Should and ought to, it's the same. It's just that ought to is formal. Traffic signs ought to be obeyed. Traffic signs should be obeyed. These are meaning the same. It's just that one is more formal. Okay, but basically we're using here is passive voice with modals, if you notice. Okay, clubs should be required. The be required, be plus the past participle, that's the passive. Okay, so and this is basically the structure that we use. The receiver, a modal, the base form of verb be, the past participle, and then an infinitive. Okay, new highways, that is the thing that we're talking about, the receiver, the modal, need to be built, the base form of be, the past participle of built to accommodate cars. With new highways need to be built to accommodate cars. If you see here, clubs, the receiver, should, that it's the modal, be, the base form of the be, the past participle required to install, here is the infinitive, to install soundproof walls. Clubs should be required to install soundproof walls. Okay? So what you're talking about, the modal, be, past participle, and infinitive. Okay? New highways need to be built to accommodate all the cars. Notice, new highways, the receiver, need to, the modal, be, the base form, build the past participle to accommodate the infinitive, all the cars. All bridges should be repaired to help traffic flow. A subway system has to be constructed to connect the major cities. Driving restrictions ought to be increased to reduce the amount of cars on the street. Okay, so something to follow with this is that you're talking about something that should, need to, has to, or ought to, the model that you want to use, then what needs to be affected, like be repaired, be built, be constructed, be increased, be reduced, be improved, etc. And then you use the infinitive to say why. What's the reason behind you doing that? Okay, to help traffic. Okay, so all bridges, we're talking about that, should be repaired to help traffic flow. You say this needs to be affected because of this. This needs to be affected because of this. A subway system has to be constructed because you need to connect the major cities. This is being affected because of this. This is being affected like this because of this. That is the way to follow this grammar. So it's actually quite easy. Now let's go back to the book that we already read this. Clubs should be required to install soundproof walls. Okay. Pet owners shouldn't be allowed to walk dogs without a leash. People ought to be required to wear a helmet when riding a bike. A law must be passed to control the pollution from vehicles. Riding a bike on the sidewalk must be permitted. A rule has to be made to require bike lanes on city streets. Something has got to be done to stop littering. Okay? You see, it's actually quite easy, and I hope that you understand this part. Okay? Okay, now let's continue. Here, you're gonna complete these sentences positively or negatively. You're gonna choose a model that shows how strongly you feel about these issues. Okay, so this is something that have multiple types of answers. Okay, so you can answer positively or negatively and use the type of model that you think that shows the right amount of feeling that you have for this issue. Okay. Okay, so take your time to complete this, and then we're gonna give some examples. Okay. Okay, you finished? Let's see. Some examples that we can have here is like young people with permit to vote before age 21. Young people should not be permitted to vote before age 21. Laws should be passed to protect people's online privacy. Okay, people allowed to use offensive language in social media. People should not be allowed to use offensive language in social media. Governments required to provide healthcare to all citizens. Governments must be required to provide healthcare to all citizens. Let's see something negative. Let's see, children allowed to play. Children should not be allowed to play violent video games. Scientists must not be permitted to use animals for research. Okay, so these are a couple of examples. Maybe you have some different opinions. You can tell them in the comments down below. Okay, now let's continue. Okay, here we have a listening. Something has got to be done. Okay, you're gonna listen to people discuss annoying situations. You're gonna number the situations they describe in the correct order from 1 to 3. So there are 3 extra situations. And also you're gonna be answering what solutions do they suggest for each situation. So you're gonna be doing part A and part B. But remember that you can listen as much times as you need. Just go back in the video. Okay, so let's listen and then we're gonna check, okay? So let's listen.
Page 102. Exercise 5. Listening. Something has got to be done. Part A. Listen to people discuss annoying situations. Number the situations they describe in the correct order from 1 to 3. There are 3 extra situations. 1.
Well, that was a great movie, but that guy in front of us texting the whole time was really annoying.
I agree. The light from his cell phone really distracted me.
I think people shouldn't be allowed to text at all in the movie theater. Our phones should have a movie mode that people should be required to turn on. You know, like airplane mode when you're on a plane, but for movies.
Hey, movie mode. The screen wouldn't light up and distract other people. I love that idea.
2.
Ouch! That woman just stepped on my foot trying to take a selfie. I can't believe we're at this historic monument and I'm being bothered with other people's selfies.
Something has really got to be done about this whole selfie phenomenon.
You know, I read that selfies have been banned at many tourist destinations, like at museums and monuments.
Really? I think that's great. Selfies ought to be prohibited at any place with big crowds of people. Whatever happened to just asking people to take a picture of you?
3.
I thought I was going to go crazy in that waiting room.
Why? Was it crowded?
No, there was only one other man in there, but he was talking with his phone on speaker the whole time. I could hear his entire conversation with his coworker. A rule has to be made that prohibits people from talking on speaker indoors in public places. It's so unnecessary.
I agree. Offices in public buildings should be required to post signs that prohibit that. It's very disrespectful.
Okay, very good. Did you get the answers for this? If not, remember to listen again. But if you do, and I know that you do, then let's check, okay? Okay, number 1 is texting in a movie theater. The last one, wow. Number 2 is taking selfies in crowded places. And the third one is using the phone on speakers in public places. And then, for part B, is that number 1, people shouldn't be allowed to text at all in movie theaters. Our phones should have a movie mode that people should be required to turn on. Number 2, selfies ought to be prohibited at any place with big crowds of people. And number 3, people should be prohibited from talking on speaker indoors in public places. Offices and public buildings should be required to post signs that prohibit it. Okay, if you have these answers, very good. You are correct. And well, that's everything for today. I hope that you liked the class for today. And on the next video, in the next class, we're gonna be continuing with some community issues and looking at the tag questions for opinions. This is really interesting, and I hope that you look forward into it. But that's been everything for today, so see you in the next time. Bye.